There's other things that give you that same enjoyment if you live life properly. If you could break the cycle of material sense gratification as the key, that will always, again, leave you unfulfilled in the end. Like my guru said, four things to do that are the hardest four things you could do as a person. Number one, do not eat any meat, fish, or eggs. If you want to make any spiritual progress, stop. If you want to make spiritual progress, your belly can't be a graveyard. You have to have compassion, at the least, you know what I mean? And compassion and the spiritual scale as it goes up, somewhere, you could begin it with, sure, we're still empathetic and the soul is still there, even if you're eating animals. But, eventually you want to stop, stop. But if you can't do that, you do your best. Just do your best. You got the Hindus telling you not to eat the beef, and you got the Abrahamic religions, Muslims and Jews saying don't eat the pork. So cut those two out at first thing. You know what I mean? Why not? At least those two things, you could wipe them off the menu. And as you do that, you'll see yourself naturally becoming more and more spiritually. So right off the bat, vegetarianism. And the health benefits, the factory farming and the nastiness that's involved in meat production nowadays, the drugs, the chemicals, the resources. It doesn't even make logical sense. And your body don't need it. Your body's naturally disposed to eating grains and fruits and vegetables, things like that. Match your body with any carnivore, and you can point out the differences that just any sane person would that doesn't want to deny will be like, yeah, these teeth are not carnivorous. Just because you got these two little fangs doesn't make you a carnivore. Okay, that I'm going to tell you right now. Stomach acids, intestinal length, all these other things we don't share. A lot of our ailments in our bodies because of the meat that we eat. The meat that causes, different gases to build up, as it putrefies inside of your body. It's not meant for it, man. So, number one, vegetarian. Number two, no intoxications, no drugs. Now, what do drugs mean? Well, some people say it's very self-explanatory. Drugs is drugs. Intoxicant means toxic. So if it's toxic to your body, it's intoxicant, and it has an intoxicating effect. Now, I'm not the one to go by the government's label of what's an intoxicant and their schedules. That's not something that I personally get into. Why? There's I can get into that. But my guru does get into what constitutes an intoxicant. Alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, coffee, tea, caffeinated tea, caffeine, so no energy drinks, things that change your perception in a toxic way. Now, that being said, I have done a lot of drugs in my life, experimented with a lot of drugs. I've experimented with a lot of drugs that a lot of people got stuck on and stayed on, and that's not to say that I've experimented for a long time, years with some things, but basically they were all self-limiting, thankfully, you know what I mean? Thankfully. The one constant in my life has always been ganja. Ganja has been, I've been smoking ganja longer than I haven't been smoking ganja. I've never found it to be toxic, even though I can testify to maybe overuse could have negative effects, could be adverse to, especially to spiritual practice, or even problem-solving capabilities, or enthusiasm of getting shit done. You know what I mean? Like overuse could be an anartha to health, mental health, physical health. Know your tolerance, know your limits. Benefits that are finally being revealed about THC, CBD, and all the other cannabinoids, and the endocannabinoid system in the body, from your brain to your muscles to your skin to your organs, in your blood, in your DNA, how it's, fights cancer, it's good for food, fuel, fiber, medicine. Something I've always been preaching since the 80s. They're finally getting some, unbiased research to show that ganja is not bad. Ganja is not toxic, but I'm going to agree with anybody that's ever had a toxic experience on it. I can't fault you. If you don't smoke it, don't smoke it. But I would always recommend somebody to take the things that don't get you high, like CBDs and hemp seed oil, to get your omega 3, 6, and 9s. Do look into the things that the hemp plant and the ganja plant has to offer. That's not, just smoking a joint or something like that. Number 1, no meat, fish, or eggs. Number 2, no intoxicants. Number 3, no gambling. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't have to get into that. No gambling. Don't gamble. Don't gamble. Don't go to the casinos. Don't play cards for money. Don't gamble with your life. Don't bet on the horses. Don't gamble. Spiritual life, you can't be a gambler. This is not about taking chances. This is something that's guaranteed. You're guaranteed you're going to die. And when you die, you don't want to come back to the earth if you can help it. Probably you're going to anyway. So as long as you make spiritual progress, you'll pick up where you left off in your next life. You know what I mean? Like you'll have that inkling to want to be more spiritual as opposed to being like maybe fresh from the animal world, where now you're a human, but you're still in animal mode. All you're doing is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But now a human can add one more thing to it, and that is gain knowledge of self, which the other animals supposedly they can't do that. So take advantage of this opportunity. Don't gamble with it. It's number 3, don't gamble. And number 4 is no illicit sex. But illicit sex is, sex that is illicit. Sex, you could say sex beyond marriage, but again, I want to take the government out of all this, and I'm going to go back thousands and thousands of years, and marriage and what it meant. It's illicit if it's not meaningful, if you're not in love with that person, if you're not trying to share a loving spiritual experience with that person, which having sex is. It procreates life. And even if you're not having life procreating sex, you have to have that meaning, and if you're not sharing that meaning, then that's a waste. You're doing it for, I guess, more animalistic, and these are urges that all animals have, all animals have sex. But in human society, when you're trying to build a society based on the Van Ashram kind of liberty, where everyone has a place and a purpose, if you have unwanted children feel neglected in society and end up, becoming adverse to the society that's beneficial to the group, you know what I mean? When we're here on this earth, we're trying to build a civilization that is a memory of the spiritual world's civilization, maintained in a certain way. In our limited lifespan, we built up this whole illusion that this is the way things have to be maintained. And it's the way they've been done for thousands of years. Doesn't make them right. These ages that we go through, are getting progressively degenerative. People say back in the day was when we were primitive, but really we're becoming more primitive with higher technology today. That being said, we don't want unwanted children. An unwanted child will burn down an entire village just to feel the warmth. So it's best to, include everybody. You have to love everybody, right? Which is the tricky part in life. But here's the thing in life. Just like a parent, loving everybody doesn't mean giving everybody a hug or opening yourself up to being taken advantage of or abused or, being made a victim. That's not love, right? Sometimes love is kicking somebody in the ass and telling them to push on, and not enable somebody. That's love. Because they've got their own karma that they've got to get through, and it's not always our duty to become entangled in it. It doesn't mean that you judge anybody. You cannot judge anybody. Everybody is, like I said, in this eternal trip, and the eternal end of this trip is back to Godhead. But in the meantime, between time, we're lost in the spiritual sauce here on the material world, being governed by the three modes of material nature, striving to stay in the mode of goodness. Shift gears, get up in there. There's a reason why I've done this was somebody had asked me a question and wanted me to get more on a topic, break it up with my life and just, stay on a specific topic. So the one topic that I wanted to really find, you'll find this is the common theme of my stories, especially my life stories, is that we are not this body, that we're having, we're a spiritual being having a human experience, and we have to make it the best experience we can. In order to do that, follow these 4 regular principles that my guru said to do. Don't eat meat, don't do intoxicants, don't gamble, and don't have illicit sex. And you'll find your life will serve you better, And the 5th thing he told me to do, the one thing he told me to do, chant the name of God. Gave me a mantra. He gave me a mantra and told me to chant the name of God. And I'm hoping whatever spiritual practice that you guys are doing, that are listening to me, especially my children that are listening to this, chant the name of God. That's how you bring them closer to you, her to you. That's how you bring God closer to you. Get this book here by Srila Prabhupada called The Science of Self-Realization. It'll answer all your questions, and it'll explain it to you in a way that if you don't really understand Vedic philosophy or just God consciousness, how is this a science and not just a religion? Because religion has so many connotations nowadays. This is explained.
Like and subscribe so we can make more videos. Bye. It's so funny. I think you say like and subscribe too. Bye.